Hello and welcome, everybody. This would be Amateur News Today. I'm John, your host, and I want to start off by going into a little bit of nostalgic news. I was reading some entertainment news and I came across this article headline on Shrek. Turns out Shrek 1 is 20 years old. I wanted to look up the actual release date of the original Shrek. It was April 22nd, 2001. 9/11 had not even happened yet. It's just, my God, I'm, I'm getting old, man. 20 years ago, April 22nd, 2001, I was a senior in college. My goodness, it makes you wonder and really pay attention that, especially when you start to get into your 30s and older, you'll start to realize that things that to you seem almost like it were just yesterday or even not that long ago. Maybe you could say like 2 or 3 years, wind up being over a decade ago. Shrek. I mean, I get Shrek. It's not like the best movie ever. I mean, it was impactful. They got a whole thing for it for Universal, but goodness gracious, 20 years. Gosh, that means Smash Mouth is that old. Yeah, I don't like it, man. There's just, I read stuff like that. It's a reminder that the things that I experienced growing up, they are now antiques. Stuff I grew up with is now old enough to be considered an antique, and that's hard to wrap my mind around. I never envisioned myself, or at least like paying attention to in such a way that when I got to a certain age, that things that I experienced would actually be a long time ago. I always looked at time as something going forward and just kind of forgetting the past. But then you read this, and yeah, Shrek is 20. And before I move on to the next stories I want to talk about, I have to say my favorite line from the original Shrek, which is waffles. Anyway, in a rehash of recent news, Colonial Pipeline, as it turns out, didn't actually have to shut down their production. In fact, their production really wasn't shut down by the hackers at all, as we have all been led to believe, thus leading to the panic and everybody getting in line for 45 minutes to hours waiting on gas and even filling up trash bags and getting into fisticuffs over a few gallons of gas. That's how messed up our society is. That's how close we are to lighting a flame and torching everything. But the cyber attack that did shut everything down did not shut down the pipeline itself. What happened was it impacted the billing system at Colonial Pipeline, and they shut down because they were worried about how they were going to collect payments. That's right. The gas could still flow, but because they didn't know how much they were going to be sending to people and how much to charge, you got yourself a gas run panic. In addition to the fact that the pipeline itself and the operation side never was affected beyond Colonial going, hey, you're not getting gas unless we can get paid. So forget all you. Turns out they were hacked by novices. As a source previously told CNN, this was a gross miscalculation on the hackers' part, meaning the hacking of Colonial, noting that the hackers likely had not anticipated that their attack would lead to the shutdown of one of the U.S.'s largest refined products pipeline systems, spurring emergency White House meetings and a whole of government response. And my favorite part is that the hackers had a press release. In the release, the hackers reminded Colonial that doing its business harm was not in the hackers' best interest. They went on to refer Colonial to their support team, who is available via chat and could answer any questions from the hackers. We do not want to kill your business, they wrote. Before an attack, we carefully analyze your accountancy and determine how much you can pay based on your net income. You can ask all of your questions in the chat before paying. Our support will answer them. And I love that they are acting like some kind of crappy business. Oh, by the way, the service we provided you sucks, so you can talk to our chat instead of being on hold for too long. There you go. What are your thoughts on the fact that a business like this that can affect so many millions of people in such an impactful way can just shut down their operations because they're worried about how they're going to get paid. However, the fact that they chose to shut it down impacted everyone else to where you see the gas line panic and all the outages and how that negatively impacted so many people. What are your thoughts on a business that does that to people when they can still provide? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Do you feel like they were in the right to shut down and put this strain on people, or do you feel like they should have eaten it since it was their systems, their security that took this brunt and kept supplying fuel to the Southeast? I'd love to hear your comments below on that. And since there wasn't a lot of news for me to report on that was really lighthearted that we could just laugh at, there was one story that I really, really wanted to do, but I promise you it would have been super inappropriate for YouTube, so I had to let it go. I'll just say look up Dear Prudence vacuum. So I'm gonna take us out with a collage of squirrels wearing top hats. So until next time, you all have a great night and take care.